You're listening to the WrestleHavoc Podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. We talk all that goes on in the realm of WWE and AEW every week. And now, here's your host, the one that will give you a reality check on pro wrestling, Flamin' Ricky DeReyes. This is the WrestleHavoc Podcast.
What's up, everybody? It is Flamin' Ricky DeReyes, right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast, here to review Monday Night Raw from February 20th, 2023. Of course, it is the fallout from the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Roman Reigns is still the undisputed champion. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens had an amazing segment in which Kevin Owens refused to help Sami Zayn and told Sami Zayn straight up, go tell your friend Jay. And then we also had things like Cody Rhodes and Paul Heyman deliver a very good segment. If there's anything that we can say, is that definitely I am looking forward to the WrestleMania match between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. It's going to be absolutely amazing, and of course they are continuing the story. Of course, we also had Edge taking on Austin Theory for the United States Championship, and it is safe to say we got another WrestleMania match set up for WrestleMania, that being Edge versus Finn Balor. And if the rumors are true and we are going to be getting a Hell in a Cell match, then I'm definitely 100% down for it. But we got a lot of things to cover right here on the Raw review. But before I get on with all this craziness, make sure to like and subscribe to the WrestleHavoc Podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, the WrestleHavoc Podcast is also available on audio platforms. It is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. So if you guys want to listen to the WrestleHavoc Podcast in audio format, it is available on all of those platforms. The links will be in the description below. So, of course, we had the Elimination Chamber, and if you guys haven't checked out the Elimination Chamber review, the link will be in the description below. Of course, I talk about all of the matches that go down, the two fantastic Elimination Chamber matches. We also had the tag team match with Judgment Day taking on Beth Phoenix and Edge. We also had, of course, the main event being Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns, which was in a match for the ages, basically. Roman Reigns entered hostile territory, but I talked about the ending, quite frankly, and I wasn't really that big of a fan of what they did in that ending, but I talked about that on the Elimination Chamber review, and I will dive more deep into what I think WWE is going to right here on the Raw review. But if you guys haven't checked out the Elimination Chamber review, the link will be in the description below. I definitely would like for you guys to give that a listen. But let's get on with Raw.
You're listening to the WrestleHavoc
I thought Raw was
Podcast.
crap. Never mind. I'm sorry. This whole thing, like, I completely, every time when I transition scenes right here on OBS, I completely forget to shut that off. But that's my fault. But what are my thoughts on Raw? We had a little bit of technical difficulties right there on my end. But, yeah, what are my thoughts on Raw? I thought Raw was a relatively good show, at least the first hour, roughly. Kind of midway through, I was starting to get kind of disinvested with the show, to be quite honest with you guys. Like, it was a good show, but at the same time, it definitely felt like a drag. And I constantly talk about this whenever I talk about Raw. And the biggest problem that I feel that is holding Raw back in most weeks is the fact that the show is 3 hours long. And whenever they do a lot of the stuff that they do roughly around from that 9 to 10 hour, I tend to get disenfranchised about what they do. They really try to pick and choose what segment goes where to really keep you interested. And I appreciate the effort, but sometimes it just doesn't work. But some of the segments that we had on the show were actually really good. And, of course, we had Edge versus Austin Theory, which was a very good match, by the way. I really enjoyed the match. Of course, Austin Theory retains. Also, Austin Theory is teasing a match with John Cena, which John Cena will be returning to WWE, I believe, March 6th, which is the Monday after my birthday, which is going to be great. So John Cena is going to be coming back on Raw in 2 weeks, and most likely that's going to set up a program between Austin Theory and John Cena at WrestleMania, which was rumored for months. I believe that was the original rumored match for SummerSlam, but plans fell through, so now they're going to be doing it at WrestleMania. But besides talking about John Cena and Austin Theory, which we will talk about later on, let's talk about Sami Zayn. Of course, Sami Zayn had the match of not only his career, the match of his life at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, and it is safe to say that was probably, if not the best match of the year so far. And we have a lot of match of the year's contenders already. And, you know, this definitely could easily take the cake. I thought Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn definitely 110% delivered an absolute clinic at the Elimination Chamber. But at the same time, even though everything was amazing, we also did have to address the elephant in the room, which I did in the Elimination Chamber review. And that was, of course, Jey Uso not turning on Sami Zayn, which was a major issue in my opinion, because if there was a time for WWE to have Jey Uso turn on Sami Zayn, it wouldn't have been at the Elimination Chamber, considering the fact that they were in Montreal. Not only that, again, I talked about this before, you would shift the heat from Roman to Jey, so then you could have Roman solely focus on Cody Rhodes without, even though it's not going to happen in my opinion, the fans not neglecting Cody Rhodes, because I still kind of have after what happened at the Elimination Chamber, there is some, fear around the community that may now be the case. I still do not think it will happen, but it could easily be a possibility, but I still do not think the fans will turn on Cody Rhodes. But it all depended on what they had to do at the Elimination Chamber, and I felt like they kind of missed that opportunity by not having Jey Uso turn on Sami Zayn. But I will say this, after this opening segment on Raw, you kind of, in a way, you kind of understood why they did what they did at the Elimination Chamber, because of the fact that not only they're telling the story about Jey, but they're also telling the story with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and there's going to be struggles down the road as we lead to WrestleMania, which I actually very much enjoy. So if that is the route that they're going, then I totally understand why they didn't do the Jey turn, but I still would have done the Jey turn at the Elimination Chamber, because I still felt like that was definitely, if there was a time to have Jey Uso turn on Sami, the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view would have been probably the best moment to do it. But they didn't do it, in my opinion, and I think that was an issue. But Sami Zayn kicks off Raw. Of course, he lost to Roman Reigns, and the thing that pissed me off about the IWC is the IWC was very upset that Sami Zayn lost. Meanwhile, it was pretty obvious that Sami Zayn was not going to win this match. If there's anything that you could get mad about, is you should be mad about Jey not turning on Sami. You shouldn't be mad about you shouldn't be mad about Sami losing to Roman, because again, why would Roman drop his titles a month before WrestleMania? That is completely asinine. That'd be very stupid in my opinion. Not only that, Roman has had the title for 900 days. They're clearly going for Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes is their guy. It's pretty obvious that Sami Zayn was not going to win those titles at all. And no, we should not make it a triple threat match at WrestleMania, because then you diminish Cody's moment. But let's talk about Sami Zayn, because we every week I always talk about the same thing over and over again, because people still do not understand the whole premise of this story. But let's talk about this segment. So Sami Zayn kicks off Raw. Once again, we get a standing ovation by the crowd for Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn begins to cut his promo, and he says he's feeling a lot of things, everybody. After these past few days, the one feeling that comes out is gratitude. And, of course, the ovation that he has been given these past few days, the people do not understand how much that means to him. We get a bunch of "you deserve it" chants by the crowd. And he says another thing that he is failing after coming. Another thing that he needs to mention is that, of course, he was coming so close to ending the storybook ending, or having the storybook ending. He isn't going to lie. He feels a lot of guilt. After these past couple of days around here, the story is never over. However, we are entering the final chapter. And that final chapter is about him. We need to talk about, he needs to talk about tonight more than anything else, and he brings out Kevin Owens. So he calls out Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens comes out. We get a bunch of KO chants. Of course, Kevin Owens came for the aid of Sami Zayn. But was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn on the same page after the Elimination Chamber? We got our answer here on this segment. Sami says that there's so much that he wanted to say, and he doesn't know what he wanted to say, but he wanted to say thank you, he guesses. He wanted to say that he is sorry, but they are past the point of words. Things have gotten a little messy, and there are a lot of things that he said that isn't coming back. For months and months, he said that they are focused on taking down the Bloodline. Now he has a mission. He will make sure his eyes that the Bloodline will come crumbling down, but he cannot do it alone. He does think that there's a way to get it done, and the only way to get it done is to do it together. Kevin Owens then gets the microphone after a standing ovation, because that was basically a whole motivational thing for Sami Zayn to say to Kevin Owens. And then Kevin Owens says he doesn't need an apology. Saturday had nothing to do with him. He did it for his family. On Saturday, his family was in the front row. He did it for his family. He's been fighting the Bloodline for months and months and months on his own. And he talks about how that's fine, and that's the way he's going to keep fighting. But that he still means everything he said. He told him he was done with him, and that still stands today. If he needs help taking down the Bloodline, all you need to do is ask your buddy Jay. And the segment ends, and Kevin Owens walks away. What are my thoughts on this segment? I talked about in the Elimination Chamber review that, I thought Jay turning on Sami, should have been, the way that they should have went in Montreal. If there was a perfect time to do it, they should have done it there. But after watching this segment, I feel like the lines are starting to kind of align now. Because if you really think about it, they're not only telling the story with Jey Uso and Sami Zayn. Jey is the catalyst of this whole story. But if you really think about it, Kevin Owens and Sami, they want to tell the full story about Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn again, and they want to kind of have that slow build-up towards their eventual reunion or reuniting of some sorts. And then, of course, they can take down the Usos at WrestleMania. So they're going for that slow build, and they're definitely waiting for a payoff, which I definitely understand why they do that. But again, Jay is definitely the catalyst of this whole thing. And I think everything that they did in this segment was fantastic because of the fact that I felt like, again, it creates more elements to the story. Not only that, Kevin and Sami definitely are going to have that slow build up towards their eventual reuniting, which is going to be great down the line. So yeah, that was the opening segment, but we're not done with Sami Zayn yet. The commentators run down the card, but after they run down the card, they go back. The camera goes back to Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is on the stage, but Baron Corbin, who got rejected by JBL after weeks of JBL calling him a modern wrestling god. JBL had enough of his bullshit. Corbin attacked Sami Zayn from behind, and during the commercial break, Baron Corbin continued to just beat the shit out of Sami Zayn. Once we're back from break, Baron Corbin gets the microphone, and he tells him, how does it feel when he interrupted him? Of course, he's talking about last week. He didn't think he needed to be in the same ring as Roman Reigns, and we didn't, and he should know, considering he is the last person to beat Roman Reigns. And he called it. He was going to embarrass him and destroy him in front of his family and friends. It was pathetic what he just did. He needs to hear this. His story is over. He embarrassed himself. He embarrassed his hometown and all of Canada because Sami Zayn is a complete and utter failure. Sami then runs the ring. He takes down Corbin, and he goes after him and hits repeated rights. And then we clothesline Sami, and then a referee is in the ring, and the bell rings, and we got Sami Zayn versus Baron Corbin in the opening match. Pretty good match overall. Corbin did get some offense. Sami Zayn, of course, this match was definitely made for Sami Zayn to look strong at the end of the day. Having Corbin wrestle Sami Zayn after that amazing segment could be very questionable. But, at this point when it comes to Baron Corbin definitely needs a repackage because I don't know what the hell is going on with Baron Corbin, but I feel like the biggest problem that Baron Corbin has is that Baron Corbin has absolutely no direction whatsoever. That is a major issue because, Baron Corbin had so many different gimmick changes. He started off as the Lone Wolf, and then he became Constable Corbin, and then he became King Corbin, and then he started to do this, homeless Corbin shit, and then he became Happy Corbin. A lot of embarrassing shit. And I feel like, again, there's just no direction for Baron Corbin whatsoever, that I feel like Triple H and his team really need to kind of discuss something good for Baron Corbin to do. And I think, I'm definitely an advocate for bringing back the Lone Wolf gimmick, but is it too little too late? Is it too little too late? That's the question that we really need to ask ourselves. Is it too little or too late for Baron Corbin? We're just going to have to wait and see in the future. But let's talk about the match real quick. Sami clotheslines Corbin on the outside. He then takes Corbin to the ring post. Corbin is in the ring, but then Corbin is in the corner. Corbin then ducks after Sami Zayn tries to go for the haluva kick, but Corbin regains control. We get repeated rights by Baron Corbin, but then Corbin rips the shirt off of Sami Zayn. We get a shot to the back of Sami Zayn, but then Sami fights back. We get repeated rights by Zayn, and then he sends Sami into the corner, but then Corbin lands into the corner, and then he goes to the second rope. And then he gets caught by Corbin, but then Corbin goes for a backbreaker. We get a cover by Corbin and a near fall. Once we're back from break, Sami goes for a back elbow into the corner, followed by a slam. I think it was a slam. I completely missed my notes right there. Sami goes to the top, and then he drives his elbow on Corbin. He then goes to the top, but then he hits his elbow on Corbin. We get a kick by Sami, followed by a DDT after that. After the DDT, we get a cover by Sami and a near fall. Corbin then gets back up on his feet, but then Corbin gets taken to the outside. Sami then hits a somersault on the outside, but then he takes Corbin back into the ring. And then he sets up the haluva kick attempt, and then he runs into a lariat by Corbin, but then Corbin goes for repeated shots onto the back of Zayn. Corbin then catches Sami Zayn and hits the deep six. We get a cover and a near fall, but then Corbin regains control, but then Sami Zayn fires back with the haluva kick, and we get a cover, and Sami Zayn gets the win. Overall, great match. Did this elevate Baron Corbin? No, this match was solely based for Sami Zayn to look strong, and that's exactly what they did there. The question that we really need to ask ourselves is, where is Sami Zayn going to go next? Of course, they're doing this whole thing with Kevin Owens, but instead of asking ourselves about Sami Zayn, we should ask ourselves about Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin is very, very interesting. I talked about this before, but again, Baron Corbin has no direction. They really need to do something with Baron Corbin. I remember when they first paired him with JBL a couple of months ago, I even said, that sounds very promising. But let's be honest with ourselves. As soon as Baron Corbin came out with the same music and all that shit, it was the same Baron Corbin, that we saw before. And JBL constantly mentioning about the Attitude Era and all that shit, I was just done with that. That immediately turned me off. Because how many times has WWE constantly mentioned the Attitude Era? So many fucking times. I mean, WWE loves telling their history, but, sometimes I feel like it's best to, don't not tell your history in front of the audience, because then you kind of, just, I don't know, how do I say it? They kind of turned me off after, JBL kept talking about the Attitude Era and shit. I'm just like, okay, whatever, we get it, the Attitude Era. All right. We got Rhea Ripley and Dominik Mysterio backstage in a sit-down interview with Byron Saxton. He's asked about, Byron Saxton asked Rhea Ripley about what happened on Saturday. Rhea said that the last thing she said about Beth is the real deal, or I should say that Beth said that she is the real deal. She right now is fully focused on WrestleMania, and then Dominik threatens Byron Saxton because, of course, Dominik is for the streets. Charlotte then, after that, Rhea says that Charlotte can keep living in 2020. She refuses to believe what everyone else can see, and that is she is the best bloody woman in the WWE right now. Rhea doesn't make the same mistakes twice, and if Charlotte wants to put her in her place, good, because her place is to stomp her queendom and win the title at WrestleMania. After that, she says we have to watch and find out on SmackDown when she goes face-to-face with Charlotte. And then Dominik says that his deadbeat dad is wrestling on the show, and he should tag along with her. and then the interview is finished. So we're going to be getting a face-to-face segment between both Charlotte and Rhea Ripley on SmackDown, plus Dominik Mysterio is going to be involved. I'm actually very interested in to see what they're going to be doing in this segment. Of course, we have Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. Again, I talked about this ever since Rhea Ripley won the Royal Rumble and it was announced that Charlotte was going to be wrestling her at WrestleMania. It's pretty obvious who should win that match. There should be nobody but Rhea Ripley that should win that SmackDown Women's title, period. Rhea Ripley needs to win that championship because the work that Rhea Ripley has done these past few months with Judgment Day elevated Rhea Ripley from here all the way up to here. Rhea Ripley right now is in a better state than what she was when she first came up to the main roster. I remember her first Raw Women's title run back in like 2021. I completely forgot when she had that title run, but I remember her babyface run on the main roster was utter garbage. And look where she is now. She is in a much better state than where she was before. All right. And also Dominik. We also need to ask ourselves about Dominik. What is Dominik going to be doing? Are they going to be setting up Dominik versus Rey? Now, Rey has immediately, many times come out and says, he doesn't want to wrestle Dominik at WrestleMania, but who knows? We do not know what they're going to be doing, but I honestly believe that there will be a match happening at WrestleMania between both Dominik and Rey Mysterio, but we're just going to have to wait and see. I mean, I think what they're building towards these past couple months with Rey and Dominik, I think it's pretty obvious where they're leading to. And I think they're going to be leading to a match at WrestleMania. We got a backstage interview with the United States champion, Austin Theory, who will be wrestling later on this show against Edge. Talks about how he was banged up, but he's always how he is. He is the champ. He wrestled 5 of the best, including Seth Rollins. He put him down, and he says that everything he says, everything that he sees, I should say, is not making sense. All of the headlines that he keeps seeing bother him. He talks about how John Cena is coming back to Raw, and he asks, where is his respect and the work he puts in every week? He gets to beat a Hall of Famer tonight in crappy Canada, and he will continue his forever reign at WrestleMania, and his legacy will stand the test of time because he will never lose this title. He name-dropped John Cena. It's pretty obvious, once again, where WWE is leading to. They're going to be doing Austin Theory versus John Cena at WrestleMania, which I think, was definitely rumored for months. I mean, dating back to SummerSlam last year, that was definitely in the rumor mill. And honestly, great. I think it's a great spot for Austin Theory. And it's pretty simple how WWE should book this. Austin Theory should go over. Now, a lot of people are saying this is going to be a passing of the torch. I'm sorry, but Austin Theory is not on the level of John Cena. I don't really view Austin Theory as much of a level as a main eventer now, but I may be wrong in a couple of years from now. But definitely he is mid-carder at best. Now, I'm not saying the work he's doing is not bad. I think the work he's doing right now, I think him losing the Money in the Bank briefcase was the best decision for Austin Theory because I felt like there was no direction for Austin Theory when he was doing that whole Mr. McMahon favorite character. I hated that character. I despised it. It was so annoying. Right now, the current character of Austin Theory is more in your face, a more piece of shit type of character, and that is the heel type of character that Austin Theory really needs to be. But right now, he is mid-card at best, but I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a very, very, very good way because the work he is doing has been really good, and he will definitely be a certified main eventer in the next couple of years. All right. We got Mustafa Ali versus Dolph Ziggler. Of course, the story of this match is basically Mustafa Ali is constantly bitching and moaning towards Dolph Ziggler because Dolph Ziggler keeps getting opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to the point where Dolph finally gets pissed and says, you know what, why don't we meet in the ring and I'll beat some sense out of you. This match is actually very short, surprisingly. And, for the caliber of talent that both Mustafa Ali and Dolph Ziggler are, not really giving these guys a lot of time. You can easily say it's disappointing, but they had other stuff happening on the show anyway, so you really can't get mad about it. But so shockingly, Mustafa Ali definitely got the win. So Dolph goes for the cover early. We get a near fall. Dolph once again goes for the cradle after that. We get a near fall once again. We get a right hand by Dolph, followed by a clothesline. Dolph is in control, and then he hits the neck breaker on Mustafa Ali. He sets up a super kick, but then Ali bails to the outside. Ali then regains control later on At this point, Mustafa Ali is in control, and then he picks up Dolph. Dolph escapes, and then he hits a high kick by Ali onto the apron and knocks Dolph Ziggler down. After that, Ali rolls through, but then gets caught by Dolph in a DDT. After that, we get a cover by Dolph and a near fall. Dolph then goes for the kick. He hits the Famouser, and this is actually a pretty badass spot. He hits the Famouser, but it looked like Ali definitely got hit with the Famouser, but he actually did not. I believe he landed on his hands, but then what happens is Ali actually caught Dolph and managed to roll him up, and Mustafa Ali actually got the win in shockingly manner, by the way. I really liked what they did with this. Even though the match was relatively short, I really liked the finish. It was a very creative finish, in my opinion. But where are they going to be going with Mustafa Ali? I have no idea. Dolph Ziggler, do I think this story is going to be continuing for the next couple of weeks? Yeah, I definitely see it happening. But is this one of the reasons as to why I want to watch this show? To be quite honest with you, no. I'm not really as invested in this story. Really, a lot of people aren't, to be quite honest with you. Miz and Maurice, we get a backstage interview with Miz and Maurice. He is kissing Maurice, and then Maurice gives him a gift for their anniversary. It's basically this envelope, and Miz is just constantly happy as hell. He says it's bigger than the half-court shot he hit at the All-Star game, which is funny as hell because he actually did hit a half-court shot last week, which everybody was talking about. He keeps ignoring Kathy Kelly's questions and talks about how he molded Logan Paul into the man he is today, and this envelope will make his dreams come true, and he will reveal what that envelope is next week. Great. Who cares? All right. Here was probably one of the best segments of the entire night, if not the best one besides the Sami and Kevin one. Cody Rhodes, of course. Cody Rhodes is the winner of the 2023 Royal Rumble, and he will be facing Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania. And for those of you guys saying that Roman Reigns should retain those titles at WrestleMania, no, that's an epic fail. Because if Cody Rhodes does not win at WrestleMania, what was the whole point of building up Cody Rhodes ever since he came back to the WWE? Just think about that. Ask yourself that question. Why would Cody Rhodes lose? It would make no sense for Cody Rhodes to lose. Just got to give you guys a logic gap right there. All right, we got a standing ovation for Cody. Yes, we got a standing ovation for Cody. Cody was over. He got a pop. He didn't get booed. Man, fans are ridiculous, man. This is not Vince McMahon's WWE, ladies and gentlemen. Hear me out. If Vince McMahon was still running creative right now, I guarantee you, number one, Cody would get booed. But not only that, WWE would literally scramble what the fuck they would do for the main event of WrestleMania. I guarantee you, a lot of people are asking for a triple threat match right now. That is exactly what Vince McMahon would do. There shouldn't be a triple threat match at WrestleMania. I'm sorry, there shouldn't be. All right, he gets the mic. And right before Cody Rhodes gets the microphone, he's about to say, so what do you guys want to talk about? Paul Heyman immediately interrupts him. But Paul Heyman does not come out. He is on the Titantron. Yes, the good old Titantron. Cody asks him where he is, and Paul Heyman says, he is backstage, sir. He is here. Cody says he is here, so he might as well come out. But then Paul says that he doesn't know if he is aware he was muled by Kodiak and the Canadian healthcare system, which was funny as hell. And what should have been a celebratory weekend for his tribal chief ended up a tragedy for the wise man. But he assures him the true tragedy of this story will fall upon Cody. And he says, hear me out. From Cody, man to man. Face as close as he is willing to be close to face. He can't beat Roman Reigns. They can boo all they want. Let's go on the hypothetical and let's lay into everyone's fantasy, and let's say the stars aligned. The devil collects his debt. And let's say at WrestleMania, Cody beats Roman for both of these titles, both the WWE and the Universal titles. Then, sir, what will his life be like? What will his life be like? You know, a lot of his life will be affected. That's not the lifestyle of Roman Reigns. So he basically talks about how, all the days of Roman Reigns, right? He talks about how Roman Reigns has special counsel, the wise man. He has Paul Heyman. If he defeated Roman Reigns, in which he will not, but what if he doesn't? If he does beat Roman Reigns, will he have Paul Heyman with him? Let's do the math and play this notion. First of all, 200 days a year in the road defending these titles, 50 days a year doing charity appearances, all that stuff, 30 days promoting WWE, promoting the product, all that stuff, another 80 days promoting all the pay-per-views, and he continues on and on. What will his brother Dustin say? When Dusty was on the road, when Dusty was at home, he was never home. Is that the life that he wants for his family? Is that the sacrifice that he is willing to make? And he knows what he's thinking. At this point, he is going personal. Roman is a happily married man. And then Paul Heyman pauses. And then he kind of closes up the camera. He goes closer to the camera and he's like, but I'm not. That was some savagery shit right there. And he assures him, Cody Rhodes, that when he will find out, his Mania dreams will become his own personal nightmare. And then Cody Rhodes has this pissed look on his face. And he says, damn, Roman Reigns is great. He is great. But he has seen this play before. Do not send this man again. They will probably most likely see eye to eye and face to face. But he will say this now and then. He is without a doubt the greatest WWE champion in the history of this company. It doesn't change a damn thing. He has to finish the story, and he will beat him at WrestleMania. Mic drop. What are my thoughts on this segment? This was fantastic. This is the second time that we had Paul Heyman and Cody Rhodes I don't want to say a back and forth. The first time they kind of did have a back and forth, but they really kind of kicked off the story with Cody and Roman with that Paul and Cody segment. But this one, they kind of took it to a whole new level. Paul Heyman was definitely a savage in this one. I'm actually very looking forward to the build for this match. Not only that, it is going to be something very special when we see Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes face to face, and the back and forth that they are going to be doing leading up to their match at WrestleMania. I'm 100% down for it because, again, the story that is really revolved around Cody and Roman, it's one simple word, and I talked about this for weeks now. The story revolves around family, and thing is that when they incorporated Dusty Rhodes into this story, considering that Paul Heyman definitely has history with Dusty Rhodes, it makes for a great story. Not only that, you have the story of the Anoa'i family versus the Rhodes family. Just like Jim Crockett Promotions in the WWF, Dusty Rhodes competed against the Machine. Same thing as Cody Rhodes did with AEW. You can implement a lot of these things into here. And I think mentioning AEW, mentioning his brother, should be definitely the way to go because it definitely plays a part in Cody's story on his journey to the WWE title. But overall, this was a great segment overall, and I very much enjoyed it. And I'm very much curious to see what they are going to be doing. Now, they didn't announce anything for SmackDown. Now, we do not know if I don't think Roman Reigns is going to be on the show. I may be wrong. But if there's any, time where, Cody Rhodes should be on SmackDown, it could definitely easily be this Friday, but I may be wrong. We got Asuka versus Nikki Cross. Bianca Belair immediately comes out as soon as the bell rings. Bianca Belair joins commentary. Nikki goes for repeated rights. We get an overhand shot by Nikki Cross. Asuka then misses a crossbody. We get a couple of knees by Asuka, and then she tries to suplex, Cross, but then Asuka gets taken to the apron. We get repeated kicks by Asuka, followed by a knee. Asuka then goes for a missed kick landing on the ring post, which looked absolutely freaking brutal. Nikki then drops Asuka down onto the apron. Once we're back from break, we get repeated kicks by Asuka, followed by a couple of spinning kicks by Asuka. She then follows up with a German suplex. Asuka then holds on and hits another German suplex, and then hits the third German suplex. Asuka then goes for the baseball slide, but then Nikki catches her onto the apron. And then she hits repeated rights on Asuka, but then Nikki takes Asuka back into the ring. Nikki goes to the top, but then Asuka comes in. She goes to the second rope, and then Asuka DDTs Nikki face first to the mat off the second rope. After that, we get a cover and a near fall. We get a couple of kicks by Asuka, but then Nikki gets up. She misses the spinning kick, and then she picks up Asuka, but then Asuka escapes and kicks her. After that, Asuka tries to apply the Asuka lock, but then Nikki counters and drives Asuka down to the mat. Asuka then regains control, and then she applies the armbar, and then Asuka wins the match. But then Bianca gets in the ring. She holds up the belt and points at the WrestleMania sign. But what happens after that? Asuka drools her mist. I think it was blue mist, and Bianca had this funny ass look on her face. She was like, it was the funniest look I've ever seen in Bianca Belair, man. It was hilarious. But overall thoughts on the match, it was a pretty good match. Of course, Asuka is going to be wrestling Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. Personally, with both women's matches happening at WrestleMania, I personally would have done Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, and I would have done Asuka versus Charlotte. So I basically would have had the matches be reversed instead of what WWE went for, considering the fact that Asuka and Charlotte also have story with one another as well. But if that's the direction that WWE wants to go, then fine. But again, it's pretty obvious who should win this match, and Asuka should definitely beat Bianca Belair, and Asuka should go on a literal hot streak with the Raw Women's title. We get a backstage interview with Carmella. Talks about how she didn't think of a new game plan for WrestleMania. She thought of Asuka, and she basically says she thinks she can mess with her, and then all of a sudden she continues to go ramble and rave. Kathy Kelly then goes to Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins cuts a promo on Logan Paul. Talks about how 2 times now Logan Paul has ruined his WrestleMania plans, and he thinks it is a game. He wants to hit him with one move and go to social media and call him a clown, but the joke is on Logan. See, Logan may not be familiar with a certain side of him, but then everyone that knows that he has gotten into that side knows his side. He will find Logan Paul, and he will hurt Logan Paul. And then he laughs, says that since he isn't here tonight, The Miz seems like a perfect candidate or surgeon for suffering. And then Rollins laughs once again. Of course, this is all leading up to The Miz versus Seth Rollins. MVP Bex is backstage. Talks about how he calls Brock Lesnar a coward. He could escape his hurt lock, but then he got himself DQ'd at the Elimination Chamber. Omos then issued a challenge against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania if he has the intentional fortitude. So you have Omos issuing a challenge to Brock Lesnar. I'm going to ask one simple question to all of you guys watching this review. Do you guys want to see Omos versus Brock Lesnar? Because I know my answer. I don't want to see that fucking match at all. That's all I'm going to say about that. I don't even think that's going to happen at this point. That is the most Vince McMahon booking decision I've ever seen. Why would you announce Omos versus Brock Lesnar? Now, it's not official. They may be swerving us, but, you know, that is the most Vince McMahon match I've ever seen in my life. Brock Lesnar versus Omos. Yeah, people are so interested in that match. Get out of here. We have The Miz versus Seth Rollins. Pretty good match overall, but Rollins got the win. Basically, though, what happens is the match ended in a referee stoppage, I believe it was. Rollins goes straight for the attack. We get repeated stomps by Rollins. Rollins is in control over The Miz. Rollins then clotheslines Miz to the outside, but then Rollins goes for the dropkick through the ropes, taking Miz over to the announce table. Miz then tries to run away from Rollins, but then manages to hit the DDT. Once we're back from break, we get repeated rights by Rollins, followed by a roll-up, and then we get a near fall. We get a couple of chops by Rollins, but then Miz sends Rollins chest first into the corner. We get a couple of yes kicks by Miz in the corner, followed by a clothesline. Rollins then fights back, but then he clotheslines Rollins, and after that he goes for a kick. He clotheslines him again. Rollins goes for the thrust kick after that. Then he tries to go for the pedigree, but then Miz rolls up in a jackknife cover, but then Rollins rolls him up in reverse. Rollins then goes to the top, but then Miz misses a kick, or I should say he goes for the kick instead of missing. Miz then drops him with the double knees. We get a cover by Miz and a near fall. Later, Miz hits the running knee, but then we get a cover and a near fall. We get a couple of yes kicks by The Miz. Once again, he goes for the rolling elbow. We get repeated elbows by Rollins, and then we get a shot to the back of the neck of Miz. Miz then misses the stomp, but then he goes for the second stop. The referee then blocks him from doing the third, but instead, Rollins actually hits the third, and the match ended in referee stoppage. So that's something I'd never understood. Like, why would... Now, I understand they're trying to, like, sell the curve stomp as, like, this dangerous move, but why would you have Cody Rhodes... Why would you have referees let Cody Rhodes do 3 straight crossroads and not Rollins do 3 straight curve stomps? That's an interesting question right there. But yeah, the match was pretty fine for what it was. Of course, they are building towards Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins, which is a very intriguing match. You know, you may not be a fan of Logan Paul, but if you really think about it, Logan Paul has definitely impressed a lot of fans, including myself. I think Logan Paul is a fantastic wrestler, and, you know, I think he's definitely improved greatly. But the one thing that we can all say about Logan Paul is that Logan Paul should not ever be a babyface. This man is a downright heel at the end of the day. Logan Paul should be and always will be a heel in my eyes. Adam Pearce is with Carmella, and after their brief discussion, somebody calls Adam Pearce. And you know who it is? Chelsea Green. Yes, the one and only Karen Chelsea Green. Complains on the phone. Adam Pearce basically fakes getting, a lot of interference when it comes to the call, and he actually hangs up on Chelsea Green. After that, the camera turns to Alpha Academy practicing their modeling, and then Bronson and Reed then comes in and basically, does Bronson and Reed things. I'm sorry, at this point, the show kind of got, so boring. You're just what the hell is going on? You're just not really that interested. And that's my biggest problem with Raw. Just this show goes from good to, just really boring, and then the main event is just really good again. But, the middle of that show is the hardest to pay attention to, because every time when you're watching Raw, you constantly, every 5 minutes, look at your phone to see what time is it. All right. We get Ding Dong Hello with Dakota and Io Sky. Talk about how since they're in Canada, she didn't get along in the chamber match like she deserves, or she didn't get in the chamber match like she deserved. And since they're in Canada, today is Family Day. She wants to spend the day with her family and says us fans do not love them the way she does. After that, they talk about how they are so underappreciated. After that, she wants everyone to hear their beautiful voices. And then Bayley asks Dakota Kai how does it feel to be the greatest women's tag team champions? And Dakota says it feels great because of Bayley. They will continue to keep dominating. And then you have Becky Lynch coming out. After that, she talks about how it's been 9 full moon cycles since they defended those titles. And they're not going to sit down with those belts. And she had a plan. She wanted to take those tag title belts at Mania, and Bayley calls her a jokester. There is one person that she was thinking of, and then what happens? Lita. Yes, Lita comes out. They both get in the ring, but then Bayley gets pissed. And then Bayley says that Becky is very desperate, but then Lita says that she has her sights set on a 5th title run. If she couldn't get the job done against Bayley, why doesn't she just team with her? And if she likes this plan, walking at Mania as the tag champions, so Dakota... They both challenge Io and Dakota, and Bayley, instead of Dakota and Io accepting the challenge, Bayley actually accepted the challenge for them. So next week, we are going to be getting Lita and Bayley versus Dakota Kai and Io Sky for the Women's Tag Team Championships. I think it's pretty safe to say that the Women's Tag Team titles are probably one of the most useless titles in the WWE right now, because again... And there's some things that, in wrestling that have no direction. And unfortunately, the women's tag team titles are one of those things that have absolutely no direction whatsoever. What is the importance of the women's tag team titles at this point? You might as well just retire those titles because, again, there is no women's tag team division in WWE. But we're going to be getting a tag team match next week. And there could be a slight chance that Becky and Lita could walk out as the women's tag team champions. We get a Candice LeRae backstage interview. She sees Nikki Cross, and then she goes to her and she asks Nikki, why has she been following her around? And then what happens is Nikki goes to the ear of Candice, And then what happens is Candace goes back to the interviewer, and she says that all of her friends, or I should say Nikki said, that all of her friends are gone, and she is all alone. Oh, that's sad. But yeah, where are they going with? I have absolutely no idea. But it's very interesting. Very interesting stuff. We got Chad Gable versus Bronson Reed. Overall, I mean, it was a relatively short match the way it was. It was not a bad match. I mean, they're definitely booking Bronson Reed like a monster. Reed takes out Gable. He drops his shoulder on Gable onto the outside, but then both Reed and Otis face off. He continues to work on Chad Gable, but then he sends Gable to the corner chest first, and then he goes to the second rope. He misses the tsunami attempt, but then Gable goes for the ankle lock, but then Bronson Reed escapes. Gable then tries to fight off Bronson Reed, but then later Gable tries to tag in. Oh, not tag in, but then later Gable tries to basically goes for he tried to go for a German suplex. That's what I try to say. Gable then takes Bronson Reed down, but then he goes to the top, hits the flying headbutt. We get a cover into near fall. We get a rolling elbow by Gable after countering a powerbomb, but then we get a German by Chad. After that, Reed is on the outside, but then Otis gets distracted by Maxine. After that, Reed takes out Gable and then slams him down. He drags him into the corner. He goes to the top, and he hits the one and only, and I can't say it like Corey Graves does, but he hits the tsunami. And we get a cover, and Bronson Reed wins the match. Overall, short match, but Chad Gable definitely looked great. What the hell are they doing with Otis? Are they going to insert Otis in the Maximum Male Models? I hope to God not, because honestly, I've actually been enjoying Alpha Academy a lot. They're very entertaining, and especially Chad. Chad Gable is very entertaining to watch, but I really don't want Otis to be a part of the Maximum Male Models, which is a freaking jobber group. But we'll just have to wait and see. It's like this show never ends, by the way. Like, Jesus Christ. We have, like, 2 things left on this. It's like this show, once again, never ends. It's insane. Let me drink this water. I am so tired right now. This is why 3-hour wrestling shows suck. I'm talking about only television. Pay-per-views, you understand why they're 3 hours. But, like, a weekly show, Jesus Christ, man. They're such a drag to watch. We get an Elias segment. Talks about how he is Elias and he hopes Rick Boogs is taking notes. This is the time where legends come out and stars are made, and there are no bigger stars than Elias. No bigger legend than Elias, and he continues to put himself over. And what happens? Bobby Lashley comes out. He immediately takes out Elias, and then he drives him to the barricade, and then he drives him to the ring post and takes him in the ring, hits the spear. After that, he applies the hurt lock, and then Bobby Lashley grabs the microphone. Talks about how everybody has a plan until they get put into the hurt lock. And last Saturday, he put the hurt lock on Brock Lesnar. After that, he found a way out, but nobody in that locker room breaks the hurt lock. He will not be disrespected, and if they disrespect him, he will put all of them down. Where are they going with Bobby Lashley? It's going to be very interesting. Where does Bray Wyatt insert himself in this whole scenario? Because keep in mind, Bray Wyatt did state he will basically but he will be waiting for whoever wins the Lesnar and Lashley match. Are they going to be doing Wyatt versus Lashley? I don't think so. I think more of an intriguing match would be Lesnar and Lashley, but after they announced that whole Lesnar and Omos match, honestly, what are they going to be doing? It's a very interesting scenario. We got Edge versus Austin Theory in the main event for the United States Championship. Edge looked absolutely great for his age. We got a bunch of "you still got it" chants by the crowd. It was a very good match overall. But of course, the story is not what happened during the match, but what happened in the end of the match, in which we saw Finn Balor cost Edge the match and another U.S. title reign, because I believe he was a former WCW U.S. champion. I think he held both the Intercontinental and U.S. titles at the same time back in 2001. I think this was like near the end of the Invasion. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it was a great match overall. I really enjoyed it. Let's go through the match real quick and get out of here. Both lock up. We get a side headlock by Theory. Edge then goes for the waist lock on Theory, but then drops him face first to the outside. Once they're back in the ring, we get a side headlock by Edge, but then Theory gets caught into a Russian leg sweep. We get a cover into near fall. Once we're back from break, we get a kick by Theory, and then he sends Edge into the corner. Then after that, he takes him to the outside, and then he goes back in the ring, but then both switch back and forth. Theory then gets caught into a backdrop, but then Edge takes out Theory. We get a cover by Edge and a near fall, but then Edge applies a side headlock. We get a clothesline by Theory, but then we get repeated rights by Theory. At this point, Theory is actually in control throughout the entirety of this whole match. We get a kick by Theory on Edge, and then he takes Edge into the corner. He clotheslines Edge, and then he picks him up for the fall-away slam. We get a cover by Theory and a near fall. Then he applies a side chin lock, but then he drops Edge down. Theory goes for the cover, and he continues to have the rear chin lock applied on Edge. After that, Edge tries to escape by getting up on his feet, but then Edge fights back. Then later, Theory drops Edge face first onto the middle turnbuckle, but then we get a rolling shotgun dropkick on Edge by Austin Theory. Once we're back from break, Theory continues to be in control over Edge. He picks up Edge, but then Edge fights back. Theory then drives Edge into the corner. After that, he takes Edge to the top, but then Theory also goes to the top. Edge fights back, but then he drops Theory face first to the mat. Edge then goes for a crossbody onto the back of Theory. Edge then goes for a series of clotheslines, but then he drops him with the facebuster. Then after that, he drops him down with the Edge-O-Matic. After that, Theory fights back. He picks up Edge, but then Edge escapes. Edge then picks up Theory, but then Theory lands on the apron. After that, we get a rolling shotgun dropkick by Theory, countered by Edge into a powerbomb. Then Edge misses the spear attempt, but then he tries to take Edge across, but then Edge lands on his feet. Edge then applies the crossface submission, but then Theory gets his foot onto the rope. But then when Theory goes for the roll-up, his foot are on the ropes. The referee actually sees that. And then Edge goes for the roll-up, but then we get a near fall. Theory then picks Edge up, but then Edge escapes. He hits the execution. After that, we get a cover by Edge and a near fall. At this point, the crowd is going crazy. He sets up the spear, but then Balor, yes, Finn Balor comes in and interferes. We get a roll-up by Edge on Theory, and then we get a near fall. At this point, Balor interferes with the kick, but then Theory hits the A-Town down. We get a cover, and Austin Theory retains the U.S. title. After the match, Finn Balor attacks Edge, and then we get repeated stomps by Balor. He goes to the top, and he hits the coup de grace. He goes back to the top and hits the coup de grace again. And then he goes back to the top once again and hits it for the third time. And Edge, or I should say Finn Balor, stands tall over Edge, and the show ends. So where is this all leading to? My best guess is that they're going to be having a Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania, because that match was rumored for months, that there was going to be a match, most likely at the Royal Rumble, between both Edge and Finn Balor, but it looks like they're going to be doing it at WrestleMania. And you know what? If they're going to be doing a Hell in a Cell match, now we do not know if they are going to be doing that, but if they do it, I hope to God that they do, because overall, I think a Hell in a Cell match could be the perfect way to blow up this whole feud. And then after that, you can just move on with Edge, and you can have Edge do something else. But overall, this was a relatively good match, and of course, and it kicked off. I wouldn't necessarily say kicked off, but it continued the story between Finn Balor and Edge, and it's going to be blowing off at WrestleMania, and I'm very, very, very excited. But, yeah, that was the Raw review from February 20th, 2023. Overall, it was a fine show. Really, the middle of the show was kind of a drag, to be quite honest with you. But overall, it was not a bad show. And, of course, we are still on the road to WrestleMania 39. And it's going to be a great show overall. I'm very excited for WrestleMania. I haven't been this excited, as I stated earlier, for WrestleMania in a very long time. And hopefully WWE continues with the momentum that they're headed towards WrestleMania. So, yeah, I'm very excited. But, yeah, that was the Raw review from February 20th, 2023. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications at me, and look out for more videos right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast, right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And, as the freaking referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. So, as always, it is Flamin' Ricky DeRays, signing out.